and welcome to another episode of the Ref Bump. This is episode 9. Crazy enough, we've already been doing this for that long. My name is Codd Sinclair, along with Jeff the Hitman Hall. We are taking a look at WrestleMania X-Seven today, also known as WrestleMania 17. This is on the heels of episode 8 of the Ref Bump, where we had two very highly rated matches. And then also this is coming off of WrestleMania weekend. That would be WrestleMania 37, which is at the moment, it's kind of receiving high acclaim at the moment. I know that the main event of night 2 between Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, and Edge got 4.5 stars out of 5 from Dave Meltzer. So just one of the highlights from that. But, you know, in the midst of talking about WrestleMania 19 a couple weeks back and then watching WrestleMania 37, this is widely regarded as one of the best WrestleManias of all time, being headlined by Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. What do you remember about this time in professional wrestling? Because this was April 1st, 2001. What do you remember most about this time of professional wrestling?
It was kind of the I don't want to say what's left of the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
But it was kind of, well, what do we do now? Where do we go now? If memory serves me correct. So you still had all your major players. You had some kind of on the way out, and maybe the wrestling world, some people knowing it, some people not. But yeah, really interesting, really kind of touch and go on booking and storylines, and do we rehash old stuff? So yeah, very, 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 very interesting. WWE trying to find out their next step or next evolution of WWE, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the first major show where, I mean, for all intents and purposes, they're not competing with anyone. Just a few weeks prior to this show, WCW held their last Monday Night Nitro, and we would even see a little bit of WCW sprinkled in here towards the middle of the card. We'll get to it. But this is definitely an interesting time because now you're thinking about, oh wow, there's no more WCW and WWF just bought it, and wow, we're gonna get we get Stone Cold versus Hogan, or Stone Cold versus Hogan, or Stone Cold versus Goldberg, just all these dream matchups you're thinking up in your head, and
which makes sense.
Yeah,
to be fair.
Yeah, and what we got not that immediately, but just a little bit of backstory to get to where we are. At the Royal Rumble, actually, I'll back up a little bit. Armageddon 2000, we had the infamous 6-man Hell in a Cell match. Kurt Angle retained. There that had him, Triple H, Undertaker, Stone Cold, Rock, and Rikishi, who took that nasty bump off the cell onto that hay bed.
Yep.
I reviewed that match on Quick Count. Go check it out.
Shocker, he took the bump and nobody else did.
Well, one of those things is not like the other.
Yeah, you're right.
So we'll fast forward to Royal Rumble 2001, which some people regard as one of the best Royal Rumble matches in the company's history. Stone Cold would eliminate Kane last to win that. And then No Way Out comes. And then we get this kind of, convoluted storyline involving Deborah. And now she's not managing Austin. She's managing The Rock, and and at No Way Out, you had The Rock defeat Angle for the title. And the main thing with that show is that you had the 3 stages of hell match with Stone Cold and Triple H, which I also reviewed on Quick Count. It's an incredible match, start to finish. But that's kind of how this Stone Cold versus The Rock feud kind of reignited, I guess you could say.
Those two, Austin and Triple H, and Rock and Triple H was always good, but Rock and Austin just, for whatever reason, good, bad, or indifferent, however you want to slice it, was just always fireworks, no matter what.
Yeah. So we would have, and we'll get into more of that as we go along, but that's the main that's the main storyline coming into this. But yeah, opening contest, we get Chris Jericho defending his Intercontinental Championship against William Regal. This match was cut short. I'm not sure how long it was supposed to go. Y2J messes up his ankle, and they kind of have to cut it short. But it was a fine match. I mean, there's other matches on here you could have made the opener, but I think if both men are healthy, you give them an extra 4 to 5 minutes on this, and it's an outstanding match. Regal's always been an incredible in-ring worker, very, very underrated. And then Jericho just being Jericho. But yeah, not too bad. What did you think about it?
Not at all. Like you alluded to, I'm a Regal guy. Well, one, Chris Jericho is on the opening match of WrestleMania. That blow your mind. Two, I'm a Regal guy, and I love his work. I love how methodical he is. I just love everything about William Regal. I think his work's different than most of your, I wouldn't say catch can, but he's not a brawler either. But, your non-flippy flop guys. His work looks tailor-made to him. Like if you couldn't see him, you could see a silhouette of him like walking in the ring and working in the ring. You're like, that's even Regal. You just would know. This match was fine, like you said. They had to get out of there early due to some injury. But I mean, Chris Jericho versus William Regal, 2 consummate pros. I don't think you can go wrong with it.
Yeah, and I definitely think the lion salt that ended up messing up his ankle. It was kind of what cut it short, because I feel like for it, at least for an IC title match, a lion salt wouldn't have won it. So I feel like we probably should have gotten a couple more minutes, but
yeah,
is what it is. I gave this 2.5 stars out of 5. I know that's really harsh. I had it like right 2.5 to 3. It was a strong opener, but it was just kind of missing something as far as a opener, and then it getting cut short just really was like, oh, okay, well, that was a thing. Did you have this at any star rating?
I did too, and I guess maybe that's even more hardcore than you. And I didn't mean that from a bad point of view, but I mean it just with everything going on with it, here I am saying like you can't go wrong with them, and then they give it 2 star. I don't know, maybe I need it. Maybe it's me, but no. I mean, it just was an opening WrestleMania match. It wasn't the worst. They had, like I said, you had an injury, so.
So then we get a promo with APA in the back. John Bradshaw Layfield, JBL Bradshaw whatever you want to call him, he can still cut a promo pretty well. Even here, you didn't think that he would go on to be what he was, but even here, I think it was a decent promo. And then I heard you mention, it wasn't bad. Well, guess what? We have Right to Censor being accompanied by Steven Richards. So that would be comprised of Bull Buchanan, the Good Father, and Val Venus taking on the APA, Bradshaw and Farouk, and Taz. Wow, what a fantastic story Taz is. Like, we haven't talked about it on the show before. Let's take a trip back. We're in April, so 15 months, about 14 or 15 months in the past. Taz makes his Royal Rumble debut against Kurt Angle. It's essentially a squash match, huge pop. We're in New York, everything's great, and now here we are, over a year later, and we're the second match on the card, and honestly, one of the worst ones on this entire night.
And again, from an ECW diehard, just to see Taz there in like a cut off like Dickies cargo top and like 2000 straight leg coaching jogging pants, like his work was still fine, but he just looked like a guy. And it's wild because for the longest time, he was legitimately one of the baddest dudes on the planet, and still is. Like, don't get me wrong, he was back then, and on this pay-per-view too. But they just completely took the venom out of anything Taz. And the Good Father was fine. Val Venus was actually, going back and watching it, was actually really good. His work, his selling, his punch was really, really, working punch was really, really good. Bull Buchanan is absolutely terrible. Like, just everything he does is terrible. His footwork is terrible. I just watched it and I just couldn't stop. I just wanted to claw my eyes out watching Bull Buchanan. I don't know how to put it. The match it started off all right, then it went like hodgepodgey, and then it started to become a schmoz, and I was like, oh, well, after this, and then I kind of watched Taz like just be a guy. He's just a regular guy. I don't know. Not a fan at all.
Oh yeah. But the finish is that, for some reason they still call this the Ho Train. Which is funny because you would think they would rename it with him being the Good Father now. But Good Father misses the Ho Train. He gets a clothesline from hell from Bradshaw. Their trio gets the win. I've got this at 1 star, and that's super generous. It was a less than 4-minute match on a WrestleMania card. That really took me out of it, and the fact that I really didn't care. I already knew what I knew about Taz, and it was just very underwhelming. I didn't expect much from it, but like you said, the little pieces within the match kind of didn't crescendo at all. So here we are sitting with a really kind of weird, cruddy match. 1 star.
I agree. I gave it a 0.5 star. It just drove me insane. The APA and Taz were good. Again, Val Venus and the Good Father were really good. Not really good as in like, you get what I'm saying. Like, their work in the match was really good. It wasn't because of them, but just Bull Buchanan and the way they laid it out. It just, I don't know. If I fall asleep tonight and never remember it again, I'll die a happy man.
Yeah. I'm saving my worst grade for later. So, anyway, cut to the back. Trish Stratus, who has in very recent weeks been commanded to strip down and bark like a dog in the ring by our Lord and Savior Vince McMahon. Now she's been kind of Linda's caretaker, I guess, for a while. And then there's a thing with Stephanie, and I I want to get more into that later, but the bark like a dog thing, what a time to be alive.
Oh yeah, and that's I don't know. Probably we won't say on this channel, but that's tame compared to some of the shenanigans that were going on with Trish and Vince and just about everybody around this time.
Yeah, they were later in the 2000s where he had a thing with Dawn Marie and
Stacy.
Yeah, you name it. And if you want to be, hold on, I feel like if you wanted to be the women's champion, you had to make out with Vince on camera. Like all of these, superstars, would always be involved in like a McMahon storyline, and it would just be really weird.
Oh yeah, well you were either that, or if you were a male, you're either kissing his ass on live, physically doing it on live television.
Yeah. All right, so triple threat match for the hardcore title. We have Raven defending against the Big Show and Kane. I'm gonna start off with this. This match was fun. I always loved just them with the hardcore title outside of the 24/7 rule. When they had matches involving the title, they always delivered.
Yeah, this match was. I mean, I guess I can't say it's sloppy. It's a hardcore match for crying out loud. I'm a Raven guy. Quote the Raven evermore. So anytime I can see him is good. I mean, it just sucks again from an ECW diehard that he's actually really, 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 really gold and ahead of his time. But hey, you need to check. You got to get in where you fit in, and this is where you're at this point. But yeah, the match wasn't bad at all. It was sloppy in a couple of spots, like them trying to use their use the surroundings. When they're wrestling to the back, you see these rooms that were like, you could tell were put up, 24 hours before. Like there's just drywall in the back of this this drywalled rooms right in the back of this thing. Also, I noticed too, just for the times, maybe some of the younger kids will understand this, but they're going through the crowd. One, I saw a Rocket Ishmael jersey. If that pops you, it should. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. I got Codd, so it's that's worth it. The Rocket Ishmael. And on top of that, it's cool going back looking again at old things. You see them fighting to the crowd, and like people actually have cameras, not their cell phones, like actual cameras, like big honky, either disposable or digital. At that time was the bee's knees, digital cameras. So it was cool. It was cool to see that.
Yeah, that's I think the one takeaway for when we watch these older shows is people having cameras and like old school jerseys and
signs, because like a lot of the signs will have like current event of the time, like sayings or something like that, and you just forget about all these things when you go back and you start looking at some of this stuff, and it's pretty neat.
Yeah, you couldn't even watch a WCW show after the mid 90s and not see like insert wrestler name here 316, and and that was just it was just the way the way it was, and any wrestling show you watch, really, you would just see Drew Bledsoe jersey or it's just crazy stuff.
While we're on this topic, for a quick second, also, and I've been saying this for a long time, people think there's a group of, not a group, but like some kids and people think that wrestling has started in 2017. It hasn't. It's been around for a long time. So maybe new to you.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think, again, the wrestling fan base, it just isn't what it used to be. And some people will tell you it is, but Codd, when you go back and you look at this pay-per-view, and it's just simpler times, I guess, but you look at this pay-per-view and you just look on these fans and how hot they are for literally everything.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get to something later where the crowd popped for that more than they popped for an actual wrestling move or kick out. It's just wild to see. And I think we have to stomach that. I don't think it's ever going to be that way again. And that's fine. It's nothing wrong with it. It is what it is. But you go back and you look at these pay-per-views and you just see how everybody is just hanging on everything at the edge of their seat. It's just awesome to watch.
Yeah, there is definitely we'll get to a match here in a little bit, and I think that's kind of the turning point for this card. And from that point on, it's like you have 2 points in the show where you have a quick second to breathe, and that's it.
Yep.
And that's just the way it is. Holy smokes, we went on a tangent. So,
Sorry.
Funny fact for this show, for this match, the spot where Raven's on the golf cart, he later finds out he's like this close to hitting the cable that cuts the power to the entire feed.
Oof.
Yeah, he goes a little bit one way, and us at home, it just goes black. And
Can you imagine?
Well, they wouldn't have been able to get it back on because and that's according to Raven. He was doing a shoot promo, one of those beyond the ropes or whatever.
I believe it though. I mean, I believe it.
Yeah, they're telling him you go a little further this way, and nobody's watching this show. But finish is Kane does this flying maneuver off of the stage through this. I don't know. It's this area. It kind of looks like it's just an open area.
Box.
Kind of. It looks like a box, and there's boxes in there and foam peanuts. And anyway, Kane jumps on Big Show and Raven, gets the win. He's the hardcore champion. It's funny, and I'll give you my grade in a second. I just watched Randy Orton versus Mick Foley from Backlash 2004. Outstanding match, by the way. And there's another spot like this there where it's just like you have just some plywood. They just built like a small little set, and Orton just gets tossed off of that, and there's nothing in there but just like 6 wires.
Yeah. Yeah, and the wood's like fresh. And they just built it 2 hours before the show. It's always interesting.
I'm gonna meet this at 2.5 out of 5. I can't get it to more than that. This was fun, but I'm not a Big Show guy. He's a fine big guy worker. This was the height of Kane's popularity, I feel like.
Yeah.
Especially coming off of the Rumble, he was, he was the Iron Man for that match. And he was fine in this. Raven was fine. Everything was. The work was fine. It needed more. It left me. Kane did that, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then it's like, well, where was that when you were chasing each other in the back?
Yeah. Yep.
Do you have a grade for this match?
I had the same 2.5. Not for all the reasons you said. Again, like not a terrible match, but I mean it's a hardcore match. So what you see is what you get. It was fine.
All right, skip a couple of backstage segments here. We do get one where Kurt Angle is watching his match against Chris Benoit, and we get an Edge and Christian cameo coming back, and Kurt Angle's like, I still didn't tap out, and they agree, and we'll get that more here in a minute. But on to a match that I forgot happened. It is Test defending the European title against Eddie Guerrero.
This is a test.
Yeah, I totally forgot this happened. Not even gonna lie. But to this point, it's my favorite match.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you have Eddie Guerrero in a match, I mean that's probably 2 stars right there. For nothing. It wasn't a bad match. Test actually was a better worker than I necessarily remember. Granted, this was just one, single shot that we've seen. We probably did watch more of his work. Codd, I'm sure you probably have. But yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was a bad match at all. Like a filler, not a filler match, but I mean, the quality of the match wasn't bad. I think it was a good match to put on after the hardcore match.
Yeah. I think Test's work can be put into two chapters. One that's before steroids and one after steroid use. You can see, and I know he briefly left the company for a little bit and came back and was on ECW for a while. But just you look at him here and look at him when he came back, and there's such a huge difference, and it's sad because that was a part of his untimely death. But it's sad, but we look at a match like this and it's like you had a gift. Like there's a point in this match he gets, and I had to look it up because we just had the Broken Skull session with Stone Cold Steve Austin get released WrestleMania weekend with him and Chris Jericho on it, and they're talking about his WCW segment where he's going through the 1,004 holds, which is fantastic. If you haven't watched, it's great.
Yep.
But one of the moves, and I thought he was making stuff up when I first watched it. It's the moss covered 3-handled family Gradunza. And guess who hits that? Test in this match. Saturn runs in and catches the moss covered 3-handled family Gradunza. And that was the first thing I thought of, was like, holy smokes. I thought that was just words kind of smushed together, and
layers for Jericho.
Yeah, just but this is a solid match. Finishes, Saturn throws the title to Eddie. Eddie knocks out Test. Eddie gets the win. He's the new European champion. I wouldn't say this is a carry job by any means, but it didn't help that Eddie sold his ass off for Test.
Yep.
I have this at a solid three stars out of 5. Like I said, it's my favorite match to this point. It will be quickly outgraded here in a second.
Yes.
But like I said, Test, gone. I think the steroid use really got to him after this. But this is also another example of how great Eddie Guerrero is, no matter what role he's playing.
I agree. It's Eddie doing Eddie things. Again, any match with him is probably a 2-star. I gave it a 3 as well. And a side note too, Perry Saturn also super, super underrated. His work is really, 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 really good. But yeah, 3-star match.
Remember when when he wore a dress?
It's kilt.
Oh, sorry. You remember when he had a relationship with a mop?
I do.
So we get this Mick Foley segment in the back. He's saying he's going to call it right down the middle, just as every special guest enforcer and every special guest referee says they're going to do. Very recent reference. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry. My finger.
Very, very recently, we had a Mike Tyson as the special guest enforcer for the match this past week on AEW Dynamite, and he's in the back, and Jericho's like, oh, I'm not asking for a special favor, and then Mike Tyson's like, I'm gonna call it right down the middle, and I'm like, yeah, of course, because that's what every special guest enforcer does, every single one. Yep. But we move on from that. Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit. You wanna start this one off?
No, go ahead, take a call.
Because this is your match, start to finish. I'm telling you what. If there was any doubt that Kurt Angle was a star at this point, or Chris Benoit was a star at this point, holy smokes! I don't know. This was an outstanding match for me. It was back and forth the entire time. And I mentioned earlier there was a match that kind of turned the show from it's okay to the rest of this is gonna have a lot to try and match up to par here with, because I have this very highly graded, just a lot of mat wrestling, a lot of submission attempts, a lot of technical wrestling, and we talked about when we were talking about WrestleMania 19, how well both of these guys can work. But this was 2 years before that, and to think that they're this consistent, from 17 that we're seeing here to 19 that we've already seen, it's crazy.
This match, again, I understand this isn't everybody's cup of tea, and I'm not saying every match needs to be like this, because that won't work either.
Exactly.
This is a beautiful match. This is two guys in a competent wrestling ring. They are trying to best each other by using wrestling moves. Everything makes sense. All the selling makes sense. There's the bubble of believability too. Like, no one's doing anything. You don't see anybody, I'm going to stay over here so I can wait for you to run and jump on me, or everything just makes sense. It looks legit. And that's because it is, because these two guys are really, really good wrestlers. I've said this on this podcast before. Kurt Angle is probably, again, if you're talking about guys not off the street, but if you're talking about, he is a collegiate wrestler and an Olympian and a gold medalist. But if you're talking about, again, guys that born and raised, eat, sleep, and breathe in the business, younger, he may be the best guy to ever do it in that sense, to cross over into this wrestling, this game we call wrestling. Yeah. He's great. Chris Benoit is great. This match is great. This is the best match on the card that I think, and it's not close. And it's an absolute treat to watch.
I really almost agree with you. I've got this at 4.75 out of 5 stars. I didn't like the finish. And that's the only thing that gets this, that for me takes it from it being a 5-star match, because you put guys like this in a premier match on a premier stage, and they're going to deliver. And I love the spot in the match where Benoit's got him locked in the crossface after the ref bump. Angle taps. It's as clear as day, but there's no ref. Angle trying to counter off of that, and then he just can't get it done. So he just low blow. It's kind of anticlimactic for me. I could have booked it a little differently, but no, I thought this match was outstanding. If the finish was different, I could have had it a 5-star, but what do you have it as?
I actually have it as a 5-star, just because it's me, and I'm starting to think too. Codd, let me know what you think when we go back and we watch these. There's a lot of matches are really good, and then the finish ruins it. So it's like, well, at what point do we keep holding that against them? Because it's like, in the sense of, because you don't know if it's booked that way. Did they come up with it? Like, I can't imagine those two came up with that finish, by themselves. There's no way they set this match out and was like, all right, well, I'll low blow you and then we'll go from there. Yeah. So I don't know. Again, you're right. Did the finish take away from the match? Absolutely. But 5-star for me.
Yeah, so we get a couple of segments in here in between matches. We get William Regal and Kamala. And I have this typed out very, very specifically. Kamala is in William Regal's office. William Regal says, "You want me to rub the moons on my belly?" And
on top, standing on his desk as well.
Yeah. I was like, okay, fine. gimmick battle royal hype. Pat Bradley, Kevin Kelly talks to Kurt Angle, and then Benoit locks a crossface on him. Angle taps obs. Then we get the video package for the next match. I'm gonna keep this short and sweet because that's what they decided to do with this anyway. I read the women's championship against China. This is a 0-star match for me. This was absolutely a waste of time. Dave Meltzer has it as a -1 star to 5. I really try and give everybody the benefit of the doubt to not give it a negative star, because I'm not a professional wrestler. I'm not, nor I'm past the prime of my lifetime to be that. So I'm going to give you at least that respect. But this match was awful and just a waste of time. I know they were really playing, the neck injury of China, and
yeah, it was bad.
It seemed like I don't know if they wanted it to be that China was just this super overly dominant female, because we've seen her wrestle men before, or if this got cut for time a little bit.
Well, I think it could have been both, but they still mishandled it. Either way. So this again, I'm not in the business of giving negative stars. It's just a 0 for me.
Yeah. Not spending more time on it. It's awful. Speaking of what we were talking about earlier, we have the coach with Jeff Bagwell and Moises Alou. Wow, 2001 Houston Astros. They are not cheating yet. So
pre-cheating.
So we get the backstage. We get another McMahon backstage segment. Vince makes sure that Trish doubled Linda's medication. And then with the Vince scowl, he says, "You want shocking tonight? You'll get shocking." Just a lot of snarling and all that. So that will lead into this. So we have Vince McMahon versus Shane McMahon, street fight. Mick Foley is the special guest referee for this. Shane McMahon, who has recently purchased WCW under his father's eyes. It was the simulcast where you had Shane on WCW Nitro. Vince is on Raw, and Shane goes, "Oh, it does say McMahon," and then you get that Vince shock face like,
yeah,
and then he's like, it reads Shane McMahon, and this is this would be kind of the start of the invasion almost, this kind of segment here, because we would get this match, and Shane brought some of the WCW people. They have their own press box up in the rafters. He's giving them props, and the boos are deafening.
Yes.
I was like, oh boy. I know in that group I named a couple. It was Lance Storm, Mike Awesome, Chavo Guerrero, Stacy Keibler, Sean Stasiak, who spoiled it. Okay.
Yeah.
Sean
Stasiak.
Yeah. Meat. Yeah. Okay. This was fun. I had this graded way higher than it should be. Because obviously it is what it is.
You're right. It was fun. I'm a mark for Vincent Kennedy McMahon in the ring. So, hey, it is what it is. Anytime you got two McMahons beating each other up, it's fun.
Yeah. We get a cat fight about halfway through. Obviously, we're gonna cat fight. You get Steph who slaps Trish and cat fight. gosh, what happens? Vince takes Linda out of her wheelchair because she's at ringside. He gets a steel chair. He puts Linda in the chair. And
Well, he was going to powerbomb her through the table. You forgot.
well,
he didn't.
I was trying to overlook it. It was not. So Vince, and it's this iconic shot, and props to the cameraman on this. You have Shane kind of trying to defend himself, and Vince in this iconic going to hit him with the garbage can, and then Linda McMahon stands up out of her chair. The crowd, I kid you not, it was deafening.
This is what I was talking about earlier. This is the biggest pop. This is the biggest pop of the night, Codd. It is. This is the biggest pop of the night. And this is what I was saying earlier.
Match. Yeah, this is.
She gets up and the roof literally blows off of this place. She's not even a wrestler.
No.
She just.
And
I don't know.
At the height of this franticness, she takes Vince to Dick Kick City. And then Mick Foley comes in and starts beating him up. I want to get back to that in a second. Shane does his, jump across the ring.
Coast to coast.
Yeah, good old coast to coast. Got this at 3.5 stars out of 5. God, I can't get it any higher. I want to. I've seen this match quite a few times now, and the crowd losing their minds once Linda stands up, it still gives me chills. I'm not gonna lie.
I'll do it for you, Codd. It's a 4-star match. And you know what? If you don't like it, oh well. I don't know what to tell you. This is our show. This is my rating. Damn it, this is where I want to put it. Is the match that good? It's not a modicum of wrestling. No, it's a son and a dad. But Vince gets the living snot beat out of him. So there's that. It just has everything. The crowd's in it so bad, so much that I just don't have a choice. I was when I first saw it, I was like, this is the one. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. But then like going back and watching, I was like, oh yeah. I was 5 minutes in, I was all about it. I was all about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The crowd got me. The crowd just got me. It got a hold of me and it didn't let go.
And they don't hold back either. The
No.
crowd, either Shane or Vince, they are
Nope.
letting it go.
Sin City.
Yeah, and this was way the crowd bought into this way more than I think anybody would this day and age. But ready to come off of that high onto a high of my own. This is TLC 2. This is the Dudley Boys defending the titles against Edge and Christian and Matt and Jeff. I go into this a little bit more on Alvarez versus Meltzer because I cover their triangle ladder match from WrestleMania 2000 the year prior. And the TLC concept didn't really come up until that year's SummerSlam. So TLC 1, which was at SummerSlam 2000, which I have reviewed on Referee's Discretion. Go check that out.
Here we go.
Plugging everything today. And it was this whole thing where the whole concept of TLC, which is absolute garbage to this day. It's the Hardy Boys specialists in ladders, and Edge and Christian, concerto everyone. So they're, masters of the chair, and, the Dudleys, they always put people through tables. So, it's TLC, and that's how it was built, and I have to give everyone involved credit because it's so ingenious. You don't think about it on the surface like that, or how they built that. And after watching that year's SummerSlam, and they show it in the video package, and it was outstanding. I gave that a 5-star, and spoiler alert, this is a 5-star for me. I'm not even going to beat around the bush.
No, yeah.
This it's just there is this non-stop action in this, and just like the fans cared about Linda standing out of a chair, garners the same reaction for this entire match.
Yeah. They didn't let up, top to bottom, bell to bell.
One thing that I can say wrong about this match. There's too many things to get through in this. So I'm gonna do this. If you haven't seen it, make sure you go to Peacock, do the 4 months for $9.99. Okay, go to WrestleMania 17 and watch this. The one spot, which and I didn't know until I watched it, but in WrestleMania 2000, they kind of duplicate the spot we see here, where we get Edge spear Jeff Hardy and he's hanging, and the year prior, Jeff Hardy's halfway up the ladder and Edge spears him off, which I can only imagine was the kind of brainchild for this spot.
That holding on to the belt spear, there's no way. Like, for the people who watch it, go back and when you watch it, watch Edge's like left ankle, like how it's not snapped in half. I have no idea.
Yeah. There's no way I can get this below five stars.
It's 6. I'll go 6.
Oh boy, I'm no Dave Meltzer. So
well, I mean, neither am I, but I'm just saying it's that good. It's either a 5 or it's not. I'll put it to you that way.
Well, Dave Meltzer's got this at a 4.75.
Oh, of course he does.
But no, you've got run-ins and death-defying spots, and it's capped off by the end. And this is all I'll say about it is after that spear spot, we get Bubba and Matt. They climb up the ladder. Rhino pushes them into a stack of 4 tables, and then Rhino at the end has to lift Edge and Christian up the ladder to get them the title. I guess that could be your one fault if you're trying to nitpick, is the fact that, Rhino had to lift Edge and Christian to get the titles, but you're nitpicking at that point. And if that's going to knock it down a 1/4 star, shame on you. Okay.
Yeah.
Because
no, you're right.
This match was, I think I say in the Alvarez versus Meltzer video, I have the SummerSlam match 1, this 2, and this 3. Then I watched this, and now I have WrestleMania at 1, SummerSlam at 2, and then the TLC 3 at number 3. So seriously, guys, if this is a match you haven't seen yet, what are you doing with your life?
What are you doing? Yeah, what are you doing?
What are you doing? And the way they book this is incredible, because you're absolutely just exhausted at this point. You've just seen Linda McMahon, you've just seen TLC 2, and you get the gimmick battle royal now. I'm gonna run through some of these names. The match goes for only 3 minutes, so I'm gonna run through the names here. So we've got both of the Bushwhackers, Luke and Butch. We have Duke the Dumpster Drosy. Doink, Doink the Clown. I don't know who's playing him here. I don't think it was Eugene at this point. It was Matt Bourne at this point. You may remember him from early days of ECW. Like mid 90s. But anyway, so moving on, we get Nikolai Volkov, Tugboat, The Goon, Earthquake, the Gobbledygooker, the worst human being in my eyes, Brother Love, Michael P.S. Hayes, The one-man gang. Funny story. It was supposed to be Akeem the African Dream, but he couldn't fit into the outfit.
Man, so you had a one-man gang it back again?
So he had the one-man gang, which I prefer.
It's fine by me.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm fine with that. But then obviously we get Kamala, Harvey Whippleman, kimchi, not just a delicious food. Your favorite human being on the earth, Jim Cornette.
Yes, sir.
Repo Man, Hillbilly Jim, Sergeant Slaughter, and the Iron Sheik.
Cheeky baby.
Just a treasure trove of wrestling's past, and
oh yeah,
half those guys probably couldn't lace up their boots today, but you know what? The right guy won here. Okay, the Iron Sheik won the whole dang thing. I gave it 2 stars out of 5 just for just for it being a fun spot. I feel like I couldn't get it any higher, any lower. Obviously these guys can't wrestle anymore. Pretty obvious, but it was fine for what it was, and I think everybody had fun.
Yeah. Fun match. Sheik is probably the most, one-man gang was back in the day, but Sheik's probably the most legit. So him going over is probably the right choice there.
Yeah, I mean, the only other one would have probably been Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah, Sarge.
Other than that, everybody probably not. It's funny though. Earthquake, better known as John Tenta, would actually have a dark match later in the year on SmackDown. It was a tryout match, and
wow.
Yeah. He defeated Tank Malosh.
Oh, Mr. Malosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, it was fun. But I think this was an absolutely brilliant booking decision to give you a break. Before we get Triple H versus The Undertaker. There is a lot to take in here. So Undertaker at this point is 8-0 in his WrestleMania career. Triple H's entrance, absolutely incredible. Yeah. Undertaker, you can barely hear the music. That place popped so hard for that.
And this is your American Badass Undertaker.
Yeah. And I gotta say, I really enjoyed half of this match. And the other match was fine, but the other half of it. It was different than what I was expecting.
Yeah, I don't want to say it outkicked the coverage, but it was, like you said, it was a tale of 2 matches, if you will.
But yeah, there's a ref. There's a lot of refs that go down in this.
Yes. Keeping us in business.
Mike Chioda, probably one of the best officials of all time. He dies for about 10 minutes in this match, and it's only 18-minute match. Like, he eats a ref bump and then you don't see him. Like,
and that ref bump to hell, I guess. I don't know, because he was out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah. But yeah, we get the stuff in ring, and then we get into the crowd up into like a control platform area.
Catwalk area, if you will.
It was very similar, if you remember, to when
Sting was probably up there.
From when the Miz, from the Miz and Shane.
Yeah.
From when they had their match, something very similar to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of chair shots. Yeah, and then Triple H eats a nasty choke slam. The way they shot it though was he just gets choke slammed over the side, and then whoever thought this was a smart idea to show it from another angle and to show the padding, to show the grass pad.
They do this all the time.
Oh my gosh.
They still do it now.
It was the worst. Oh
yeah.
You first think when he gets chokeslammed over the side, you're
He's
like,
dead.
Okay, well, yeah, he's gonna take a bump. They're not, gonna drop him directly on the concrete, but they're gonna have him take a bump, and then you'll see the aftermath. That was what took me out of this match.
Once you see it, you can't unsee it either.
Yeah. Ugh.
And again, we're all for wrestlers being safe. We're not saying he should have got chokeslammed on the concrete.
Yeah, exactly. I'm fine with. Oh gosh, how did they? It'll come to me. But they could have thrown him off the side. He could have hit a crash pad, and then he could have rolled off.
Then, or Undertaker, you cut to him and he's like, "Yeah, I did it." Then you cut back and he's on concrete.
Yeah. There are many ways to do this.
Yeah.
But Undertaker starts beating up EMTs. Taker hits a tombstone. He hits old school and covers, but no ref. Weird how you wouldn't go for a pin after the tombstone, but one after old school. Weird spot.
Yep.
Undertaker goes for the last ride. Triple H's got the sledgehammer. Doink. It's going to be a near fall. And then here's another spot that took me out of it. Triple H is hitting Undertaker with the sledgehammer, and you can see the blade.
Yeah, this, like I said, I don't know if, by the time they got to these spots, to be fair, if they were not blowing up, but, just your regular exhaustion from working,
Yeah.
But man, it just started going down a path of destruction here for me.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Undertaker hits a last ride. He wins. He's 9-0. I've got this at 3 stars out of 5. That's as high as I can get it. It started off so well, and then for me, immediately after that chokeslam spot, it was just downhill for me.
I gave it 2. I had it at 3, and then I just kind of soured on it. I was like, I give it a 2.
Yeah,
because you expect more from these. If it was just 2 schmucks, that's one thing, but you expect more from these guys because they're professionals, been doing this for a long time. And again, some of the stuff isn't their fault. It's like the camera angle obviously wasn't on them, but I don't know. It pooped out for me.
Agreed. So now on to our main event. It is The Rock defending the WWF World Heavyweight Championship against Stone Cold Steve Austin. In a surprise turn of events, this is announced as a no disqualification match. Shenanigans are afoot.
Oh, galore.
Yeah, you knew as soon as they announced it as a no disqualification that something was going to happen.
Yep.
But obviously, crowd is super into this thing the entire time. Just the way that these two tell a story is absolutely incredible. These two are one of the best to do it. There's going to be nobody that can do it better.
They just have it, like I said earlier, again, Rock and Stone Cold. I mean, Stone Cold and Triple H is great. Rock and Triple H is great, but Rock and Austin, they just have something that those other two combinations don't have for whatever reason.
Yeah, early in the match, Rock does a blade job after Austin hits him with the ring bell. At one point, Austin slingshots Rock into the ring post. It looks like he didn't get his hands up in time because it looked nasty.
It looked gnarly. Yeah. I jumped on my seat like I was on the couch, like.
Yeah. So then Rock locks in a sharpshooter. You see a bloody Austin screaming. I know that made you pop a little bit.
Yeah, they went back to the well. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Austin locks in $1 million dream, which was awesome.
Yeah.
You could tell he was, starting to get a little desperate. And then we get towards kind of the crescendo of this match. Rock catches a stunner out of nowhere, only gets 2. Here comes Vince McMahon. Rock, just Rock running off with the mouth. Just running his mouth off to Vince, and then rock bottom from Austin. Only gets a 2 count. Rock blocks a Stone Cold Stunner. Ref bump.
Yeah, and a solid ref bump too. A solid ref bump. I threw the ropes, like gangly armed all the way down to the outside. Good ref bump.
Yeah. Austin with a low blow. He tells Vince to give him a chair, which he does, and he hits the Rock with it. Vince throws the ref in, 2 count. Austin goes for another chair shot. Rock hits a rock bottom. Some back and forth here. Austin's really pissed because he finally recovers from the rock bottom, hits a stunner. Rock kicks out again. And props to the Rock here because he eats 16 consecutive chair shots.
Yep.
And he immediately pins him after that 16th shot. He gets the win. This is only his 5th world title at this point.
Stone Cold?
Yeah.
This was I remember watching this and thinking like as a kid or teenager or whatever I was, I'm like, what? You know what I mean? I don't know. This was kind of the start. For whatever reason, Vince and Stone, well, not for whatever reason, I know why, but Vince and Austin just should never be working together. It just kind of, I don't know. I didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. Like the match was fine, but I just don't like. Well, it was good, but in the sense of it, this also was overbooked to the high heavens. But I guess it was going to be that since like you said, as soon as you saw no disqualification. But
yeah,
no Rock, no Austin and McMahon, please and thank you working together.
Yeah, and this was the heel turn to end all heel turns at the time. Because you had weeks leading up to this where McMahon had Deborah manage The Rock. And I skipped over it, and I'm sorry. The hype video for this is the best hype video for a professional wrestling match you will ever see. Period.
It's
God.
It's great, and it has big fight feel without like WrestleMania that they tell you this is a big fight feel. Well, if you have to say it, then it's not. But I'll say that for another podcast.
Yeah. You shouldn't have to say that. It's a big fight feel if if it's going to do that itself. You don't have to say that. You know, I really went. This is what did you give this? I'll pass to you first.
Okay, so this is kind of like the last match, as in the tale of two matches. Would you say? Because it was really good to a point, and then I kind of knew I forgot some of this. So I mean, I knew the end, and I knew what was going to happen, but just the overbooking of it just kind of killed me. I gave it a 3-star because I figured that was right there in the middle. It's still rocking Austin. The match is still great, but with all there's a bad ending. There's as in Angle and Benoit, and then there's this. Those two things are completely different. You know what I mean? One I can kind of look past, the other one I can't in this one. So I gave it like a 3-star. Again, it's just all like you said at the beginning of the show, this was a weird time for them. So hey, Swerve, this will be a heel turn. I get why they did it. You know, like I get why. But man, they just overbooked this thing to the high heavens.
So I had to ask myself, okay, big fight feel, it had it. If you're grading it on just big fight feel, I have to give it a 5-star. However, everything you just mentioned, nail on the head. I have it at about a 3, about a 3.5. So I have it overall as a 4.25 out of 5.
That's
The in-ring, like you said, was typical Austin Rock level work. You knew as soon as the no DQ was announced that there would be some shenanigans. I was sticking at 4, and then I gave it the extra 1/4 star. God, these guys tell such a great story.
I mean, for all intents and purposes, this is a 5-star match. It is. It just had too much shenanigans for me. But yes, I'm not. I mean, I get it. Like, you're right. This is the maturation of everything. This is maturation of good promo, good storytelling, good performing. The crowd's in it. I mean, it has everything you could possibly want.
Yeah. Just start to finish, you were invested. That goes without saying that there were mistakes made in this match.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that, matches we've given higher grades for than they deserve to be, say, oh, Vince versus Shane, like that barely had any wrestling in it, and look at Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit, that had a ton of wrestling in it, and while this is an insert foot in the mouth here kind of situation, a grade is a grade. If you enjoy it and you grade it very high, then that's great. You know what you like. I try to stay as biased as possible. The 4.25 I feel like is a fair grade with everything that happened. And if you're graded just on a big fight feel, absolutely it's a 5-star match. But if you're taking everything involved, everything from start to finish, there's no way it's a 5-star match. And again, that's just me.
I think context matters, and again, it's also relative to said person. When we go back and look at these things, you're looking at them on your phone, you're looking at them on paper, and you're like 4 stars, 5 stars, but you have to actually watch the match. I think that's what we tend to lose and forget in this 2021 realm of wrestling.
Yeah, and it was a great main event. I will say that. Now, here's the question. So we watched WrestleMania 19 on the last episode. We've watched WrestleMania 17, which arguably two of the best Rumbles, or two of the best WrestleMania. Sorry. If you had to watch one show again, would you watch 17 or 19?
17.
Mhm.
Yeah. It just has more of a, maybe it's recency bias because I watched it, a couple days ago, but I know it's 17. Yeah, it's 17.
Yeah.
I think it has a maturation of everything. And it's bad things in spots, not like one half of the card could be bad. Like I don't know. It's bad things sprinkled in, not necessarily a run of bad things, one after another, after another, after another.
Yeah, and the thing with 19, we have those two highly rated matches. Outside of that, there's maybe another good match or two, but a lot of repeating matches. Where here, I think this is the best WrestleMania for me. Undertaker Triple H was fine. Vince and Shane, you were glued to your seat. You were glued to the edge of your seat. TLC 2 was outstanding. Main event was outstanding. Angle Chris Benoit was outstanding. And it just kept hitting you. And then the thing for me is just card pacing. Where they could have easily backloaded this card very, very easily and made a huge mistake. But I think that's what gets kind of lost when we're reviewing a show like a WrestleMania where you have a dozen matches, and it's how do we pace this match or how do we pace the card so we're not waterboarding our fans,
Yeah.
And I think this does an excellent job at that. I think while maybe the women's title match wasn't good at all, and the gimmick battle royal was what it was, I think they were strategically placed there so that you as a fan could get a break. And that's the reason for me I give it an advantage as far as watchability goes over 19.
No, you're right. And I guess that's what I was trying to say to some extent. But yeah, it's the pay-per-views are way more linear than the up and down of 19. So yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah. Well, that does it for episode 9 of the Ref Bump. Wow. Coming up on 10 episodes here next week. Get to that in a moment. Jeff, where can they find you on social media?
Jeff M. Hall 1 at Twitter.
Because Jeff M. Hall was taken.
I'm sure.
One.
Yep.
I'm going to do our friends over at Next Generation Wrestling a favor. June 27th, Knoxville, Tennessee. The Party Bowl will be live with fans. So, guys, make sure you go to nextgentn.net where you can buy your tickets. Tickets are only $18 a pop for adults, $15 for children. I am almost positive there will be a mask mandate, even though the state of Tennessee is pretty wide open at this point. But already have a lot of great talent lined up. You've already got Calvin Tankman, Trey Lamar. They announced Caleb Conley on this past on this past episode of WrestleCast with PWO, which was pretty outstanding to be a part of. But guys, you got to go follow them on all their social media machines. You got to go and check them out. Go buy your ticket, make the trip. PWO's going, the entire crew's going. So
be in the house.
Yeah, it's gonna be outstanding. So make sure you get your tickets. We're being told tickets are selling fast, so please go get your tickets now. With that being said, we've got something special lined up for episode 10 of the Ref Bump. In a world where, in the world we live now, where there's so many promotions crossing over and working together. A couple of years ago, one of the best wrestling promotions in the world teamed with another one of the best wrestling promotions in the world with something called the Ring of Honor G1 Supercard. So that is what we will be looking at next time. And you're in luck because that is actually on YouTube for free. So I will post that link in the description. So while you're there, check out all of us on social media. Like, share, and subscribe to the video. Guys, it's been a blast. We're finally done with WrestleMania season. Off to next year with that. But guys, thank you so much for watching. My name is Codd Sinclair. That's Jeff the Hitman Hall. And we will see you next time.